Hi, I'm Augie from Hahn's Ponds. I'm a Pond Tech here, and today I'm going to show you a water test. Now here at Hahn's Ponds, we do water tests for free. You just bring in a sample and we can test it out for you, see what's going on with your pond. Today, my sample is from our courtyard pond, and I'm just going to show you the steps of what we take to do said test. First, we always start with the pH. Your pH should be ideally between 7 to 7.5. So let's go ahead and see where our pond's pH is at. We just take a vial and some of the sample water, pour it in to the vial. Now, of course, you're always going to get wet working with water, so something you got to deal with. And follow the instructions on the bottle. Most water quality tests will have instructions to how much you need to put in. We're using an API test, I believe. And then we just add 5 droplets of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Once we add the 5 droplets in, we put the cap on. Try not to get any chemicals on your hands. They can be corrosive. Shake it up to make sure it's really mixed in there. And then we're just going to let it sit there for a minute. And then we'll move on to the next. We also test ammonia. Now, the ideal ammonia is 0. You want no ammonia in your pond. So let's go ahead and see what we've got in our pond today. Once again, add the water sample into the vial without getting it all over the place. Then here we're using a Pond Lab ammonia solution. So hopefully it works okay. These ones have us adding 5 drops each. So go ahead and do the 5 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On to next vial. Try to do it in order that they have you do it in. Usually they're labeled. This one here is number 2, and again, 5 more drops. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the last vial for ammonia. 5 more drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. Once again, close up the solution. Make sure it doesn't get knocked over anywhere. Put the cap on the vial so that also doesn't get knocked over. Shake it up. Mix up the solution into the water. And then let it sit for a bit. Next, we're going to test nitrates. Nitrates, again, ideal 0. You don't want any nitrates in your water as well. And we will test that here. This requires another 5. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Close that up. Cap the vial. Shake it up. And then let it sit. And then finally, we have our phosphates. Well, not finally, but next we have our phosphates. Ideal phosphate range is less than 0.3 parts per millionth. You don't want a whole lot of phosphates in your water. It causes uncontrollable algae bloom. So you want to keep that under control. So let's go ahead and put this back. Put this back with the cap on it. Put some water in here. Go ahead and add the phosphate solution bottle. That's number 2. Go on and do number 1 first. Always try to go in order if you can. Add 6 droplets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This bottle's a little harder to squeeze. 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we go. And once again, cap, shake, and let it sit for a moment. Allow the solution to take hold so we can get an idea of what we're looking at here. So finally, we also test salt. Adding salt into your water can help promote fish health, stress relief, gill function, slime coat, and it can also ward off against parasites. So here we're going to just take the cup of our sample. We got a salt radar here. Go ahead and make sure it's on, it's locked, put it in, and just let it kind of go for a moment. All right. Perfect. So now that we've gotten all the solution in the water, we have this myriad of colors. We have our handy dandy API test kit guide here that kind of lets us know what we're looking at in terms of coloration. So for our pH is currently sitting at an ideal range of 7. Might be a little darker than what we need it to. pH with high pH levels promote algae growth. The best remedy to deal with high pH is either a partial water change or using pH up to raise it or pH down to lower it. Make sure you know which one's which. Next on is our ammonia. Our ammonia, once again, needs to be 0. And it looks like it is. We're actually keeping up with our ammonia. Ammonia buildup is from fish waste, too many fish, or inadequate filtration. Again, best remedy for that is a partial water change. If you can do a partial water change, it would solve your problems there. Next on is our nitrate. Nitrate is perfect. It's at 0 parts per millionth. Is what we need our nitrates at. High levels of nitrate indicates filtration isn't cycling properly. So you might have issues with your filtration if your nitrates are high. Again, solution, partial water change, or an increase in filtration by adding more filtration or improving your filtration in some way. Fourth, again, off to our phosphates. We want our phosphates to be about 0 parts per millionth, and I would say it's a little higher than that, but not by much. A high phosphate can cause uncontrollable algae growth. Is usually caused by leftover fish food or runoff into your pond. So you always want to make sure that you're removing any excess fish food that might be in your pond that your fish don't eat. Don't let it just settle into the bottom or let your filtration catch it. Could cause issues, or could rather cause algae bloom. Remedy, once again, if you're seeing a pattern here, partial water change and a phosphate remover. We don't have a phosphate remover on hand. However, we find that both with phosphates and nitrates, having plants in your pond can help immensely. About 40 to 60% plant coverage not only helps against the sun, but can help suck up a lot of those nitrates and phosphates, help with that filtration process. And then lastly, we got our salt. Now, our salt is actually a little lower than we would want it to be. Salt content, ideal salt content, is 0.1%. 0.1% salt content is not enough to harm your plants, but enough to actually affect your fish and ward off parasites. It helps, as I said, helps promote fish health. If it's too high, salt doesn't naturally evaporate. So really the only way to solve that issue, again, is a partial water change. If it's too low, you just add more salt. All in all, our pond's not looking too bad. Might need a little bit of a water change. If you caught on, you know that partial water changes are probably the biggest help in terms of fixing your problems that you might have with your pond. There are, of course, chemical solutions, pH ups and pH downs through just your pH levels, detoxifiers, ammo locks, and ammo removers to deal with ammonia, plants and better filtration to kind of help with your nitrate cycle. Same thing with your phosphates. Either get a phosphate remover or have plants in your water or partial water change. And then, of course, salt. Salt is always something that you could add to your water. It's not always a necessity, but it can improve your fish's health and overall your pond's health. So that could help. And yeah, that is our water change. I hope that it was interesting to look at. I know it was a little slow, but got to get it right. You got to make sure that your pond is balanced and healthy. Thank you for watching.